Hi everyone and welcome to the Recruitment Brothers Podcast. With an age gap of 17 years and two heavy Swedish accents, we're here to cover everything about, you guessed it right, recruitment.
And now over to the older brother Rickard. Welcome to our podcast. Although recruitment is our focus, we will also talk about sports, business development and leadership. And we will invite some inspiring guests. Let's get straight into it.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Recruitment Brothers Podcast. We are on the 17th episode now, if I'm not mistaken, and if I can count correctly. Weekend is halfway through. Early morning here, Sunday. You're going to go soon to Thailand. How has the weekend been so far?
Yeah, but good. I think you set up your priorities a bit different when you know that you're traveling on a Sunday. So it have been training, it have been packing all your stuff that you want to bring. And I also went to the bandy finals yesterday here in Norway as well, the final game of the season.
So still a busy weekend.
You keep yourself busy because you don't want to just go and wait for the trip. So you keep yourself busy.
How long is the flight that you're going to take? It's a direct flight.
Yeah, to Bangkok, it's a direct flight, 11 hours. And then I have a transit over to Krabi. And then going with taxi to Koh Lanta. So it will be like, 16, 17 hours in total.
Yeah. Any plans for the flight? How do you spend those 11 hours?
I think it's eat, movie, sleep, wake up, eat, movie, sleep, and repeat.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good tactic.
Yeah.
Good tactic.
I was gym session this morning.
Did you go to gym this morning?
You?
No, I haven't. It doesn't open until, it's Sunday here in Spain. It's more holy than it is up north. So they don't open the gym until 9, I think. And then they close very early as well, I think around 2 o'clock. So, Sundays in Spain is very difficult. Same with like supermarkets. Now restaurants are still open, but those shops, you can't really go and shop clothes on a Sunday I guess it's the same in Norway. No, it's a little bit more restricted than in Sweden, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, no, but I'm not going to ask what's new since obviously we recorded the last episode yesterday, and now to save some time for ourselves since you're going to Thailand, we're recording the next episode already now, which will be then launched 2 weeks later, I think 3 weeks from when we have recorded this. But any reflections from the last episode when we talked about network and networking in professional and social life?
Yeah, but it will be fun to see now when I go to Thailand if I build some new connections. It's one, for example, is already connected, but it was not me. It's my girlfriend. She actually have 2 colleagues from Sweden that is on the same island, on the same beach. So she have already booked a beer catch up with them when we arrive or the first day. So you see like how small the world is. Like we go to Thailand and there's 2 people from Vansbro, Sweden that works at her company that will be there at the same time on the same beach.
That's crazy. That's really wild.
So you see how small the world is.
Yeah, I had similar. I reflected a little bit as well, and I had a similar situation when I was in Andorra. I think 3 weeks ago now. I went to Andorra to ski for a long weekend. Normally people from Sweden, they tend to go to ski in Sweden because we have quite good resorts and it's just a few hours away. If you don't go to Sweden, if you go abroad, if you want more high-end experience, you might go to the mountains in Italy or in France or in Austria and, spend a bit more money, but at the same time have better slopes and so on. But actually, when I was there in Andorra, for that first time I was there, that exact weekend, I had some old friends from my village, Vattholma, that were there at the same time. And Vattholma, it's a village, for those who doesn't know it, which probably no one knows it. It's like 1,000 inhabitants in the north of Uppsala, in the north of Stockholm. And somehow those friends from that village were there in Andorra out of all skiing countries at the same weekend, which was quite crazy.
Regarding Vattholma and today's topic, Martin, what is it?
Working with friends and family.
And over to the topic Vattholma. It's actually a famous brand that come from Vattholma, and they have something on the back of their packages. What is it? Which brand?
Yeah, true. No, it is a brand that it has really exploded in Sweden. They're called Dave and Johns. They are making, I think it's called dates in English, but they are making fun variations of the dates. So instead of just selling dates, they make them in candy flavors like licorice, sour fizzy pop, strawberry. Like they make them as candy, but using dates to make it. And they have also made like mixes of nuts and so on. So basically healthy snacks, I think their brand is. But they've gone really, really big in
Norway.
Sweden,
Norway as well.
Yeah, Norway as well. Yeah. And I remember also in Barcelona, I went to one of the stores here called Condis. It's like a 7-Eleven almost. And I saw those dates there. You turn the package and they still have that stamp that you're talking about, made in Vattholma, Sweden, on the back. So from Vattholma to Barcelona, you can find those dates.
They say something about two brothers that built this brand or something in the text.
Yeah, that's true as well. I think it's a brand called, is it Famora Foods that are making, I think so. So Famora Foods, yeah, founded by two brothers. They have their production and their factory just outside Vattholma. And it's gone really, really well for them.
Let's do a research and find them and see if we can get them on a pod. Asked about their success story.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Pod episode.
That would be really cool, actually. Yeah. No, and I remembered also I was on this topic, but also on the topic of networking. That my first, summer jobs that you have in Sweden when you turn 14, 15, all those jobs that I got were connected to my network somehow. Like we had this man in Vattholma who is owning the, how do you say, bruk. Yeah, they're making metals and stuff, like old school. He was also involved in bandy somehow, like an old bandy coach. And I was playing bandy back then as well. And my dad had connections with him from the past. And that's how I got my first summer job as well. And it applies to the job I got on Cyprus as well. It was a connection through you, right? And then I had Alva, who's still working in the company with us today, who recruited me to Cyprus. So all of those opportunities that I got work-wise in early age were through network. It was quite interesting.
But it was the same with my summer job. And maybe that's also the comment from our dad then, to end it with the flag on top. It's because he was the one fixing it. He didn't want to lose his face either.
No, exactly. And it was not the most elegant jobs that we did. I know you also did some tough jobs in factories, and I was painting and almost cutting down trees back then.
Maintenance and stuff, 15. Right?
Yeah, maintenance, like facility services. But it was about finishing with the flag on top.
Yes, for sure.
But then also one thing that's funny about that as well, connected to, networking and what we spoke about earlier, but also to family and friends, is that I got a job in the local supermarket in Vattholma early and worked there for maybe 2 years on and off, like in when I was studying. So I had that as an extra job where I worked hourly and, stepped in. And I won't say I did a good job. Like I was very reliable and they trusted me and I was developing fast learner and so on. So when I had done that and when I relocated to Cyprus to work from there, our younger brother, Patrick, he went to the same supermarket to ask for, to get a job. And I remember they told that the reaction was something in lines of, "Oh, but you're the brother to Martin. Okay, welcome. You can start on Monday because if you're his brother, we want you." So that's also how, making a good impression and what we spoke about with referrals can have an effect.
Exactly. But working with friends and family, I think it's a tricky topic in one way, but it's also very simple. I think many people is wondering how it is to work with family and friends. I think that also many have tried out and I think it fails many times for different reasons. But I also think it succeed many times for different reasons. And I think that is what we are going to talk about today, right? The advantages and the challenges, and like how you set up boundaries, what roles you take, and if we have advice for others.
Absolutely. No, I've done both. Working, of course, with family like I am now, but also with friends. I mean, when I was going to Cyprus, and now I'm not speaking about, of course, it's one thing to start a job and then you become friends at work, but I'm more referring to when you are friends from before and you go to the same
Exactly.
job. So you first have that social connection. And I did that when I went to Cyprus. I relocated with a friend from Uppsala in Sweden. We took the same job. So that's where I got my first experience of working with friends back then.
How did it turn out then? Like kind of that story. Did you follow the same path, or did you go in different directions, starting off?
No,
No,
it was, I think we were very young back then as well. Like it was our first office jobs, you could say. And because there was a relocation involved as well, I think it was a bit special. But the positive things were that since it was the first time, we were very much outside comfort zone, of course. Then it was nice to have someone that you could share the experience with, talk about what was going right, what was going wrong. We also lived together. Like we shared apartment, we were roommates. But then after some time, we also we became roommates with others. Now it was the fact that COVID came, and my friend also had other aspirations in life. He wanted to study, something that I wasn't as desperate to do. So I think he went back to Sweden 1 year, but I decided to stay because I liked it and I wanted to give it some more time. I started to build my network there in Cyprus, so I stayed for another year in Cyprus. So we took a bit different paths, also internally in the company. I moved department and he was in one department. So I think even though you're friends, like on the outside at work, you might have different aspirations, like what you want to do, how you see yourself, what you're skilled in. And I think that's completely okay. I think it's not good to force it. Like I could have also relocated back to Sweden after 1 year to study just because I wanted to follow the path of my friend, or the other way around. I could have forced him, no, but let's stay another year, even though that wasn't his aspiration. But I think you need to allow that to happen as well, that you're going to be different. Even though you're friends, you are maybe friends in some areas and have a lot of similarities, but you're also your own people, right? And you want different things, and you should not stop that, I think.
Exactly.
So it turned out well. I mean, he went to study. We still kept in touch, and I went to stay.
Yeah. And this is in a work relationship, and I think this is call it like a good way maybe of describing an adventure, and also how life turns into different paths, if you know what I mean. I remember the same, like I went to high school with one of my best friend, and I went to sports high school outside of our hometown, and we also lived together, and we stayed there for 3 years. But our life have taken different paths. I work with international business and have built a company, and he work in with ambulance emergency, and have taken career within that, and have built a family and so on. And I have not. So you see that even if we went to the same high school and we were both into bandy and sports, and we both played it our whole life until we got like 35 or something, we still choose different private paths. So I think like in friendship and this, I think there is super nice that you can go on adventures together, and then you see where it just life turns up. Making this decision when you're setting up a business, I guess, is more important, and also that you really know what you are going into. Because like, say that you are two partners that go into something, and then both of you are investing a lot, and then after 6 months, one of the two is like giving up on it, or want to move on, or have different priorities and so on. And I think there is where like friction can happen and where frustration comes maybe from one part or from the other part, or it didn't go so fast with success as both were thinking. And then maybe one starts to give up. And, you know, if you don't have like, say, good legal papers written between you, like, but how will we solve it? Who will buy who out? And, you know, so there is like different paths in life that can be, you know, depending on the situation that can with friendships that is important to think about.
Well, it's very interesting because like that's one thing that I've wondered about, because of course with my friends we have still been quite entrepreneurial. We think about like different business ideas and so on. Now we have never been the people that have taken it to action and making it happen, but you know, you've always been in these thoughts, like imagine if me and my friend went to start a business or do something. But you who have actually done it, and in many instances in different business areas and different concepts, like what would you say is important when you select a business partner? Like, have you always selected a business partner and a co-founder that you have known from before? Has it sometimes been someone that you know less well? Has it been like super close friends? Or what's your like suggestion there, how to think about it?
But I think it's the part like we have talked about in the past about this trust part and reliability. I think I have been in partnerships that have been good, and I have been in partnerships that have been bad. I think the ones that have been bad is maybe when I have partnered up with people that are too different from me when it comes in about like the personality part. So we are like good party friends. We have super fun when we go out and drink, and when we are, you know, on a trip together somewhere or exploring things. So you think that, okay, but this nice vibe I have with Martin is something I can just transfer into a daily work life together. And that is actually when it fails, I think, because then you start to figure out that you are not the same, you know, when it comes to private and to work. You maybe don't share the same ethics or the same visions or the same triggers or whatever it might be. So it doesn't mean that the other person is bad. It's just that you're not fitting as partners. You know, it's the same in a relationship with, you know, that you have on private as well. So I think that is something that is important, and that you see this maybe over time. Sometimes it can click directly, sometimes it's built up over time. And if we take in Nordic Jobs Worldwide, for example, but Björn and me founded this company. And the thing is that Björn and me worked together in the past. We were not friends from the beginning. We were work colleagues. We, of course, built a friendship, but it was not like super deep, but we could go out and after work, and I know I invited him for a party. He maybe invited me as well, and we had like a really good tone at work, but we were not like super close friends on the private. But it was a big trust there. We worked good together. We know where we had each other in the business. If someone brought in a deal, okay, the delivery will be there. If we promised the client something, the promise was kept. And also I think that we were fostered in the same way from our childhood and so on. So we shared the same values. So when both of us was kind of done with this employment path, both of us wanted to stay kind of in the industry, but we didn't know exactly what to do. I think we were a good match to start something together. And then we got the chance to buy shares in a temp staff company, and we started Nordic Jobs Worldwide. And I think that, but then it was a good choice because this trust and reliable part of our relationship was there, and we knew what we delivered and that we could trust each other.
So somehow the recipe is to start it with someone where you have seen what they are capable of at work as well, not just someone who is close friend and share the same football team that you support or that you have a good time going out with, but someone that you've seen how they act at work and you see that they share the same values then maybe.
Exactly. But you can never be sure, right? You also need to take some chances in life. You also learn, you know, from not call it mistakes, but like every end is a start of something new. And I don't think it's to analyze it too much, but it's more that I think it was a good fit, if you know what I mean, between me and Björn. And if we were just party friends, it would be harder to see if it would be a success or not. But this was more like we had success in another job together. And
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think one thing, if we rewind back to there where me and my friend were working in Cyprus, one thing that came to mind now is a suggestion I have, or something to be a bit careful with. And that is connected to going to the same workplace with people that you live with. And this doesn't only need to be a friend. It can be someone that you're in a relationship with as well. Let's say that you're living together, you're going to the same work, you're working in the same apartment, you're maybe seeing each other across the table. I think that can work, and it might be a situation that you imagine is nice, but after some time it can have some big downsides to that. That you're seeing each other 24/7. You're seeing each other at the dinner table. You're chilling together. You are maybe going out together. You're spending the weekends together. And then you're seeing each other constantly at work as well. So you don't get a break from each other. And the second part there is what happens at work, because we might have different experiences at work. Like the person that you're roommate with or that you're in a relationship with, they might have a really, really good day at work where they are succeeding, they are, getting praised from their manager, and they feel like, okay, they are really comfortable at work at the time being, and they're doing well. Whilst the other person might have the complete opposite. They're struggling maybe with performance, or have received some harsh feedback from their manager, and they are really in a negative headspace. And then you come home with each other and it becomes a clash. Like,
two different energies.
Yeah, two different energies, and no one is maybe right or wrong, but no one can really express themselves, because the person who is happy with the situation might not want to share too much about it, because it might make the other person jealous, or make them defensive. And the person who is in a negative headspace might not want to share that frustration, because they don't want to bring the other person down. So I think should be really careful and really think twice when it comes to living with someone that you're working with. And I think if you were to do it, maybe then at least that it's different departments within the company, that you have different people that you're reporting to, so your experience is not completely the same, because that might then lead to a conflict in the household, in the apartment, that you start argue about work things at home because you share the exact same work.
And I think to have some unwritten rules is important. Like if you're in a situation that you work with friends or whatever, I think it's nice to have unwritten rules when you are talking about things and how you express them. And the same goes with a partner that you're not working with, of course, like at home. Okay, but what kind of energy are we bringing in? How are we phrasing things? Of course, you should be able to speak out and, talk, but it's important that, you can have different views on things in life and respect that.
Exactly. No, and on that, like me, I'm working in Barcelona, and we are all quite my-client that I would definitely consider my colleagues as friends. Like we are doing stuff outside of work as well, like going to Andorra, like I mentioned earlier. But we try, at least. It's sometimes easier said than done to follow this rule, but we have a rule or a saying that goes like, if we don't want to speak about work at the bar, we shouldn't speak about the bar at work. So even though it's very tempting to say speak about what happened in the weekend, or what happened on a night out, or what happened in a football game, if we don't want to speak about work in those situations, we should avoid to speak about those situations at work. And of course, it's never going to be 100% bulletproof. When you come back from a Monday, you want to catch up with people and see what they are doing. But we really try to follow this.
Yeah. It's tricky as well, right? Because like many times, at least for myself, I know that after work, when I have like 1 or 2 hours off, say that I go and, to the gym, or I go for a run or power walk or something, or I have a distance to the work, a couple of hours, and I start to reflect on things. I like to talk about job in the sense that it's a hobby for me. And if I have been in different situations, I want to talk about them, and I have had the time to reflect. It's almost like doing analyze after a game, right? In sports, you see the game, You take a half day off, you see it on video after, and then you start to analyze, oh shit, we should have done this differently in this situation. Or if I had communicated in this way, maybe the feedback or response had been something else, so you start to reflect. And I like that part with work, but I also know that some people doesn't like it at all, and that is a tricky balance with the work-life harmony.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think you can find those people that you can have these discussions with outside of work as well. I think we are quite similar there. It's often also that I come home after work, I get the time to analyze or digest things that we've been discussing, and then I give you a call like 1 hour after work when I'm on a power walk or on the way to gym. And we are very like-minded there. I think that we don't see that as a problem. It's almost like we get the energy from doing it. So if I think that's the best, to find someone that you can do this with if you are that type of personality.
Yeah, because it comes with, for me, it's more about development, because then you learn from every situation and you maybe have 2 or 3 different tricks how to solve it in the future, or when you end up in the same situation that you have talked about it, and then maybe you can solve it in a different way, or you can continue doing something that was great, or just that you get it out of the system so you can start fresh tomorrow, whatever it might be. So I think this is, but an advantage in that sense, if you work with like close friends or partners that you share the same values and like future ambitions with, then you have those people to talk with, like filters. And that can be, of course, like family in this case as well. Like, but we are brothers, so we have known each other for such a long time. So there is no, not so much in between. It's much easier to go straight to the point of what you want to talk about, because there is no sensitivity between us in that sense.
Yeah. No, and that's the upside sometimes, if we're going to speak about the positive things of working with friends or families, that if you share the same ambition and mindset and work vision, you can leverage from each other. Then 1 + 1 becomes 3, right? Because you can give each other energy and creative space and motivation and so on. So the upside is that you get like a double effect on your own ambition. And the downside is that, of course, if I come sometime, let's say that I would come into work and from out of nowhere, I would start to become super negative and pessimistic, then I would have a big effect on you and your, work week. You would probably lose a lot of energy on that. So it's like a leverage. If both are ambitious, it's going to be a multiplied effect. If both are negative, it's going to be a downward spiral, because we're going to sit there and be negative with each other and get stuck in a loop. So if you can get stuck in the positive loop with the friend or family that you work with, it can be really, really nice as well, I have to say.
And you know each other, right? So you can remind each other on strengths and weaknesses and not take it too serious as well, if you know what I mean. If something pops up and you know that, but this is normally like how Rickard's reaction are, you're not taking it personal.
Yeah.
You know that he reacts in this way, in a way. So I think that is an opportunity, and I think like this honest way of working you can have with but say family or with friends, I think that can also push it to the next level. I think it can also help you to go a bit further or to succeed, in different areas, because if you know each other and you can have honest talks, it's also much easier to fix things fast. And also to, talk about strategies or vision and being on the same page and going out there and execute on it after. And, if you see that something is not working, you're not afraid to say it. Or if I know that you have a strength or a weakness, I can say, oh, Martin, stop, do this, do more of this, that instead. And, we can faster move. We don't need to, walk carefully here on what we are saying or doing. We can execute fast based on an honest talk, and also that we know the strengths.
No, without filters. You don't need to think about, like, if you have some strategy things to be said that you really want to get out of your system. I can imagine the nice thing is that you also don't need to wait to, okay, let me schedule a 30-minute talk with Martin on the Wednesday. Like, that's the benefit, right? You can be like, hey, Martin, I thought of this. And you call me when I'm on the way to work or on my way home from work, and it's easier. And the same for me. I can be like, oh, okay, I really need to have feedback on these things now that is gonna be priority this week, this work week. Then I know I don't need to schedule a one-on-one on Monday at 1:00 to have it said.
And I think like what we have talked about in the past, I think it have been a topic in another episode, but for example, the roles and boundaries can of course be a bit tricky, especially in a situation when you say that you are the partner of the owner or the CEO or whatever, or if you are a friend, or if you are in this case a sibling. It can of course be a bit tricky that you need to live up to something, or that you know, people think that, yeah, but just because you're Rickard's brother, or it would be Rickard's girlfriend, that they get benefits that is unfair or whatever. So I think this part is also a bit
Nepotism.
Important to have in mind when you do it.
yeah. To reflect on. I think why people might have like opinions about it is because there are situations where it's not working out, right? There are two different kind of situations. You have situations where it actually is nepotism and favorable things and, you know, special treatment, and in an unfair way. And I mean, you could see it already. I think people notice this early in their life, sometimes like already in football or in bandy or in sports in general, where maybe one of your teammates, their dad or mom is the coach of the team. And I think that's the first time that people usually get these situations. And you have situations where either the parent of the child is extra strict with them and is almost the opposite. They get more pressure, higher expectations, need to train harder, get less favorable things. Whilst you also see the situations where it's the opposite. It becomes like bad form of nepotism, where it's like they get special treatment, they get to start every game, they get to become the captain of the team without showing the skills or making an effort. So, it's very important to have in mind. And like we have discussed earlier in episodes, like, of course, the benefits for me is that we have the trust, but that trust is built up not only because we are brothers, because then also we have seen from each other at work. I think even if we were brothers, if it wouldn't work out work-wise, you know, it would have been addressed, right? Like it wouldn't have continued to get more trust and so on. But then it's expectation, and you get, like, from my side also, like, of course, I want to prove extra much that I belong in the position I belong in, because I don't want people to have that reservation that, but he's the brother or whatever it is. So that becomes like a motivation for me to execute harder and to go past the expectations.
Yeah. And now we have, of course, built up for it ourselves with like the Recruitment Brothers Podcast, and saying that the age gap of 17 years and so on. But like, it have been important, at least from the start, to not mix in the brother thing into the work. And like we have talked about as well, I have never kind of used the sentence or the term like, oh, brother or little brother or something in the communication with colleagues. It's like, it's Martin. You perform on your own. Of course, we talk on the private, and, you know, I can learn things from you as well. That is from the young generation, and you can learn things from me, and, you know, you can grow fast from it, if you know what I mean. But it's also based on performance. If you didn't perform, it wouldn't be the same chances in a way, at least not like from how I see it. Then I think this thing now, if it would be mentioned that we are brothers internally, it's more from a colleague perspective. And it's more with a genuine positive aspect today. So now you can make a joke in showing a picture when I was 20 and you are 3 years old, and say, look, this was the Recruitment Brothers 20 years ago, you know, and making fun of it, but not using it still as a term like, yeah, but you are little brother, or, oh, Martin, my little brother. Like, no, it's Martin, the colleague. Exactly. He's the growth manager. He works with senior recruitment. He is the leader in Barcelona. It's like, it's clear, it's set, and you are who you are, and you perform based on your own skills and not based on me.
Yeah, and I also try to I think it's important to keep integrity when you are in these situations as well. And that's something I try to do as well, that if we have a talk, for example, about something, about decisions being made in the business or strategy or so on, I try to not like be like an open book to my colleagues about what's being said and what's being discussed. And sometimes I don't know, and because I lead people, right? And sometimes they might think that I'm involved in every decision that's happening in the business, or I know about any small change that has happened, or I know what's going to happen next, or what this new CRM update, why has that happened? And I tell them honestly, like, look, I know I'm the brother, but I don't have the answer to anything. It's not like I'm an extension to Rickard and we share the same brain. So I try to enforce this as well, that it's integrity. Yes, I know some things and I'm able to have an influence, but at the same time, I'm just as much a middle manager or a colleague like anyone else is in my position. So I try to keep this like very clear as well.
And also the other way around, right? And I think that is something that have worked well. Like, I think that things that you are working with within the brand or within the office, it's also something that you know, if some colleague wants to keep something confidential, or if something that you feel that this should not be shared, you know, to the headquarters or to the management or to Rickard or the CEO or whatever,
Exactly.
you keep it where it in Barcelona, within the brand or within your team. But to keep the trust with your colleagues. And I think the things we talk mostly about is, of course, like general things that would happen in a daily work in any company. But I think most of the things we discuss when it's like, call it the private talks, but it's more about vision, growth, how to solve solutions, how to fix a client case, and
expand into new markets.
Exactly.
Like development.
Yeah, the rest, I think it's more on this clear colleague path, you know, that I have. The same with other people in the company as well. How is it going in the Nordic Jobs brand? Okay, I talk with the manager there. How is it going in multilingual brand? I talk with the manager there. If we have an office in Tallinn, how is it going for the colleagues there? But it's more like the general thing that you are doing on an operational side anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Any advice for others, Martin, now when you started to work with your brother or moved abroad with friends from the start? Anything you want to give as an advice?
No, but think twice. Know what you're getting yourself into, regardless of situation. Always think twice if you're gonna work with a friend, you're gonna work in the same place as your roommates, you're joining your brother's company, you are invited to a friend to join their team. Like, always think twice. Like, okay, what will this mean for the private relationship? What will this mean for my situation at home if you're going to work with roommates? How do I make sure I have clear boundaries for every situation? How do I remember to keep integrity? Think twice about these things, because it might be so tempting. Oh, I'm going to work with my best friend or whatever it might be. Yeah, but you're gonna feel the downside of it if you're not careful. So make sure to set clear boundaries. Okay, in the situation that I excel in this role, but my friend is having a tougher time, how do I manage that? Or if I absolutely hate it at this job and my friend wants to make a career and develop within this job, how do I make sure that I don't affect his or her development? Like, set very clear boundaries, like you said, unwritten rules, or even have written rules, like if that's needed, right? So I think that would be my advice to people. And look at the downsides of it, but also the positive things, like we also discussed, the shared energy and the shared success. From your side.
But I was going to add that that's my advice then, when you touched on the first thing, is that when it works, when you can work with friends or when you can work with family and it works, then it's also the best thing, because then you don't need to step on your toes. You can share visions, you can execute things together, and it's also people that you enjoy being around. So then you also have a really nice like work day, and your life grows into but like I say, this harmony of things, because you're around people that you like at work, you're around people that you like on your private, you share the same visions, you execute together, you succeed on things together, you explore things, you are maybe traveling together. And like, if you can do this with people that you like and that you have a relationship with, somehow it's super nice as well. But
no, absolutely, it can be the best thing, like you said. I think that's something that a lot of people visualize sometime, that it would be a nice thing to try. So Absolutely, it can be really, really good.
But be careful. But be careful.
Exactly. No, but it would be nice to maybe have some guests on this topic. Maybe internally from us, speak with people who are siblings or people who have worked with friends. So we might do a guest episode on this topic.
Yeah.
Maybe from Famora Foods in Vattholma. That
would be external guests, and internally it's pretty fun because we have 2 more, what do you call it, like brother couples within the company. We have the Holsteins in Barcelona that you work with, and we have the Kerals in Malaga.
Exactly.
So we have 3 pairs of brothers within the company.
Correct. No, but let's see if we can make it happen. But it's been a good episode otherwise. I think we have some other interesting episodes now in the pipeline. Our podcast coordinator, Lucy, who's doing a fantastic job, is also preparing an episode about the history of recruitment, which is something that we have been planning to talk about for some time as well, because we're both very much into history and we have that as a common interest. It's an episode that requires a bit more research. So she's doing a big job now in the background to prepare for that. So yeah, thank you to Lucy, and thank you for everyone who has been listening. Nice. No, but enjoy Thailand. I'm jealous. I can visualize how you're sitting there with a shang and some chicken satay and, going for a massage daily. So no, you really take the time to enjoy. You've been working hard the last years. So enjoy. And thank you everyone who has been listening. If you're feeling generous today, maybe give us a follow, share the podcast to a friend or a family. Thank you. Take care.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.